Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And, before the show, Ahmad, my producer, always comes up to me and he says, all right, what are we talking about today? And I said, we're going to talk about neurotransmitters today. And he kind of looked at me funny and I said, yeah, well, neurotransmitters are the chemicals that make your nervous system work. And the reason I say that is this week in our practice, we had several patients come in. And again, I just try to base my shows on what happens, past couple of days. And we had a lot of patients come in with a lot of anxiety, emotional disorders, autism, ADD, and we see a big rush of patients coming in. And I thought, well, let me, because I explained to each person individually and with parents and caretakers how the brain works. I'm going to try to give it to you as best we can, and the chemicals that make it work. And these chemicals are a direct reflection of how your nervous system is working, the food you're eating, and how your digestive system works. So I know that sounds, you wouldn't think about all those things, but you have to give the body the raw materials to build the neurotransmitters. If I want to grow a tomato, I have to get tomato seeds and soil and water and sunlight. I have to get all the ingredients to grow a tomato. Well, if I want to grow normal thought process or normal brain function beyond just thought, there's something called the autonomic nervous system where the body just happens automatically without you even thinking about it. We have to make sure we have all the raw materials. So that's nutrition. And if you're eating the right foods and you're not breaking them down, like taking a carrot and dissolving it into its finite materials there, and then reassembling it as eye tissue or liver or spleen or blood, well, that's an issue too. Because I have people come that are, vegan, raw food vegans, and they'll come see me and they'll say, Dr. Joe, I've got these issues. And a lot of it is physical, not chemical. And so many times people try to treat everything chemically. So I want you to get off that thought process. What can I take for blank? As opposed, I want you to think, what can I do for blank? My neck pain, my back pain, my acid reflux, my heartburn, my emotional disorder, my ADD, my inability to sleep properly. So start thinking in that direction. Not what can I take, but what can I do? It's really neat. I got to write that one down. That's a pretty good one. Every now and then I amaze myself here. All right. So neurons rely on chemicals that are called neurotransmitters to make your body work. So what happens is you have a nerve. At the end of the nerve, you have something called a bouton. I always love that word. And then there's a synapse, a gap, and then another nerve. So there's these little gaps in the nerve. So a nerve is not a continuous wire, like a wire, going to your lamp or something like that. There's actually little gaps in it. And the reason we have these synapses, I don't know what the plural of synapse is so that we can speed up the nerve impulse. It can travel along the nerve at a certain speed, but it jumps quickly through these synapses. So it speeds up the nerve transmission. There's about 100 different variations of neurotransmitters that regulate everything from appetite to mood to mental dysfunction to sleep to memory, your body's movements, chronic pain. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition. It's 5 board certifications, BS in clinical nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. And this show is heard coast to coast and around the world. You have made us, I'm assuming, the #1 health and wellness broadcast in the country. And so because of that, I see a lot of pain patients, and patients come to us from all over the world for treatment. And so when we treat a patient, we'll look at them chiropractically and we'll say, do you have pinched nerves? Do you have muscle spasms? Do you have misaligned bones that are causing inflammation? But then we do something different. We also look at their diet and their digestive system. Because if they're not breaking down the foods properly, or if they're eating foods that cause inflammation, it can make the pain worse. Had a patient come in the other day. Smelled like smoke, smelled like cigarettes. And I said, you're going to have to stop smoking. And she said, I can't. And she was in so much pain, she couldn't even sit. She couldn't sit. She couldn't stand. She was shaking from the pain. And I said, well, you have to, because every puff of cigarettes that you take is 100 trillion free radicals. Now, free radical is like Pac-Man. It eats through things. 100 trillion free radicals per puff of cigarettes. And those are like little acid molecules eating away at your nervous system. So she said, but when I'm in pain, I want to smoke. I said, yeah, I know. But you're making the problem worse. So we adjusted her, and she was able to stand up and walk, which was good. But I said, you got to work on that cigarette stuff. And she goes, I'll try. But I didn't believe her. Because what happens is cigarettes stimulate the pleasure centers in your brain, back to neurotransmitters, and you start getting high from them. So to foods like alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. We're going to cover all that today. We're going to talk about how chemicals affect the neurotransmitters, which one of the things that happens is it can affect your pain or your ability to control pain. We're all in pain. Right now, all of us are in pain. But our body suppresses those signals. In fact, 90% of your brain suppresses the other 10%. And when that balance is off, we have things like chronic pain. We may have things like uncontrollable movement, like Parkinson's. You're just not suppressing the neurotransmitters that are now causing the action to occur. So we got to get the body right. So we're going to talk about the big six, okay? And if you have a question, I'm going to open up the phone lines. The number's 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. And we don't have to talk about neurotransmitters only. Any healthcare question you have, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And we will try to get you on if we can. If we don't get you on, folks, you could always go to my website, send me questions through the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. We come up first. Health Plus Wellness Center is the name of my clinics. And we have clinics in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So if you have questions, we have our doctors there for you as well. And follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. We send out lots of good information there, especially like live lectures. I have one coming up, as a matter of fact, real soon. So you might want to check my website. Love to have you come out to the live lectures because they're a blast. You'll have so much fun there. Because I can show you things I can't show you on the radio. And we're going to do things, and I put them on my website so you can watch the live video. So if you can't come to a lecture, if you miss a radio show, all on my website, drjoeesposito.com. So about neurotransmitters, we're going to have to go to a break pretty soon. But I'm going to talk about 6. If I have enough time, I'm going to cover all 6. Adenosine, dopamine, GABA, neuropeptide Y. That's one you probably never heard of. You probably never heard a lot of these. Norepinephrine and serotonin. Okay? And we have to talk about where they come from, the amino acids that produce them, what they do, what happens when they're low, and what you can do to get them normal again. That's why this show is so important. So, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe. Again, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. If you have questions, the lines are open. 844-44-Dr. Joe. That's 844-44-DRJOE. Hey, folks, I got to go to break. Do me a favor. Tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Thanks for being with me today. I do appreciate that. We're talking today about neurotransmitters. Boy, does that sound like fun, huh? What we're talking about, why we're talking about this, is because I want you to understand how your body works. So many of you are so good at what you do in life. You're great IT people. You're great board operators. You're great screeners, like I have here today with my crew. You're great at whatever you do, but you don't know how your body works. And I believe, a little personal interjection here, I believe we need to be teaching a little differently in schools. We need to be teaching how to stay healthy, how to have a relationship, and how to make money. Because those are the 3 things all of us have to do all day, every day. And when I talk about relationships, not just, boyfriend, girlfriend, or a significant other, how about you and your coworkers? How about the way you treat your coworkers and your bosses and your subordinates? And how about the way you treat your parents and your family? How to have a relationship. It's not hard. It's easy. If you listened last week, we talked about hormones and how the hormones in the body control your moods. And if you understand that this is going to happen when this happens, I'm going to have this type of emotion, this type of feeling, you then can conduct yourself accordingly. Make it sound like a lawyer there. Conduct yourself accordingly. So if you understand what happens when you do certain things, you'll then know why you're tired after lunch, why you're moody, why you have a headache, why your back hurts, why you have gas and bloating and diarrhea and constipation, why you're fat. I used to be fat, so I can say the F word, So when you understand why, it's a lot easier. And then you can make decisions. If you do this, this is going to happen. Is it worth it? If you speed, you might not get caught. But if you do get caught, these are the consequences. And then you can make a rational decision. Most people don't have the ability to make a rational decision when it comes to their own health because they don't know what the rules are. So that's what we're talking about today is the rules. All right, so let's talk about these neurotransmitters. 5 of the neurotransmitters can be pharmacologically managed with over-the-counter substances. There are things that you can take, either herbs or drugs, that can manage or alter the function. The 6th one has to be lifestyle. You have no other choice. So, all right, let's start out. There's 100 billion cells in your brain and your spinal cord. Again, I'm a chiropractor. My job is make sure messages are getting from your brain, down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body uninterrupted. So there's two things that can interrupt, chemically or physically. So chemically would be the food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. So that's what we're talking about today. Physically is if a bone moves out of place, it pinches a nerve. If you pinch a nerve, it hurts, but 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. Just like 90% of your brain suppresses the other 10%, 90% of the nerves control what's called the autonomic nervous system. It happens automatically. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your prostate does its thing. All controlled by nerves. So you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. The brain processes 100 trillion instructions every second. So every second, 100 trillion functions are going on in the brain. If you don't give it the right raw materials and the right blood supply and the right nerve supply, it's going to mess it up. Now, these rapid-fire instructions are done through communications of nerves, and we call them neurons. At any given moment, the brain is having 14 billion neurons firing at speeds of 450 miles an hour. 14 billion neurons working every second. Why wouldn't you want to take care of that amazing machine? And we don't. So the neurotransmitters, they're the chemicals that make the neurotransmitters speak to each other. The neurons speak to each other. And so I can touch something that's hot. It goes up to my brain. My brain says that's hot. Not only does my hand react, how about my whole body? My pupils dilate. My pores open up. My hair stands on end. All my muscles in my body pull me away from the stove. A lot going on every second of every day, and you're not taking care of it. All right, let's start with adenosine. Adenosine is a biggie because a lot of people drink coffee. How many people drink coffee? Raise your hands. We're going to talk about how many of you do. In fact, 90% of you have some type of caffeine every single day. 90% of you. And so adenosine is the one that you're altering. The reason you're drinking caffeine is you want to alter your adenosine. Now, what does adenosine do? It slows down nerve activity. It makes you feel sleepy. Blood vessels dilate, so you have enough oxygenation when you sleep. Because when you sleep, what happens? You slow down. Your breathing slows down. So adenosine is the neurotransmitter that helps you relax and calm down, makes you tired. But you have to have good blood supply. Adenosine also facilitates pain relief. How many people want that? All of us. We don't want to be in pain. Sedation and hypnotic and relaxing properties it has. It really relaxes the whole body. Caffeine and theophylline, theophylline is found in tea, they're stimulants, are adenosine, what we call antagonists. So what these chemicals do is they stimulate your nervous system, caffeine and theophylline. So adenosine slows you down. Caffeine prevents you from slowing down. Now, follow me on this. If you do any type of stimulant, this is important because coffee is an acid. An acid robs your body of calcium to neutralize the acid. It dehydrates you. Coffee is one of the most highly sprayed foods in the world as far as pesticides go. So if you're going to drink coffee or any type of caffeine, I beg you, please do organic. If it's not organic, you're just sucking these pesticides and chemicals down into your body. Over time, they will be toxic. They have to be. They can't not be. So you have adenosine. It's released. And your brain has something called adenosine receptor sites. And what that means is it receives the adenosine. So adenosine is absorbed, and it makes you tired and relaxed and helps you get all calm. So you drink coffee. Coffee blocks the adenosine receptor sites because it looks like adenosine. So it goes into these receptor sites, and you can't absorb it. So what happens is now you don't get tired. Coffee prevents you from getting tired. That's why it's a stimulant. So your body is smarter than you. What happens is your body says, Joe, Ahmad, Justin, we need to sleep. So the body produces more adenosine receptor sites. And so now you can try to get to sleep. Well, what do you do then? You drink more coffee. And this is why when you started out with 1 cup of coffee, you went to 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 8 and 10. And so you're firing off these nerves in an unnatural way. And the brain literally changes its shape because your body is trying to get you to relax and you're not doing it because you're drinking these stimulants. Not a good idea. So you need more and more coffee, the more stimulant that you need because you're blocking up the adenosine receptor sites. So now, I've said this many times, remember the commercial? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. It's exactly what you're doing. And a lot of people, myself included, have reactions to caffeine like headaches. Patients come in my offices every single day. All my doctors, we all work on our patients together. And one of their symptoms they have is headaches. Number one is back pain. Number two is headaches. And so we can give them the best chiropractic care in the world. Let's assume we are. I don't know if we are or not. I think we are. And they get amazing chiropractic care. We're putting the bones back in place and open up the nerve supply, open up the blood supply, but they keep getting headaches. Well, then we have to look at the chemistry. Are they doing caffeine? Are they doing monosodium glutamate? Monosodium glutamate has glutamic acid. Glutamic acid causes the brain to fire faster than it's supposed to and can cause headaches. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a healthcare question, lines are open. 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Tons of shows archived there, audios and videos. Come out to my live lectures. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We come back, we're going to talk about supplements and foods that can actually help balance out those neurotransmitters and help your brain work normally. Again, drjoeesposito.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We're talking today about how the brain works. Neurotransmitters, those are chemicals that make your nerves fire and transmit messages. And different neurotransmitters do different things. And so many times patients come into our offices and they have depression or they have anxiety or they have shakes. They might have Parkinson's or they have pain. Of course, as chiropractors, we see a lot of pain patients. And I try to work with the patient from every aspect that I can and try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And sometimes medication does an excellent job of treating symptoms. For example, if I have a blazing headache, and I get them periodically, I have some old neck injuries, and sometimes they just flare up out of nowhere, I'll take some acetaminophen, calm my neck down, calm my head down, and it blocks the pain. That's what acetaminophen does. It blocks pain. Ibuprofen blocks inflammation. Acetaminophen blocks pain. And that's why sometimes acetaminophen works, sometimes ibuprofen works. But I block the pain, and then I grab one of my doctors, and I'll say, find out why I had a headache. And they'll check my neck out, and sure enough, my atlas is out of place, my hips are out of place, something's out of place that caused the pain. Sometimes I'll get a headache, and you may get pain too, from chemicals. Like I said, I can't do caffeine or monosodium glutamate. That can cause problems. So these neurotransmitters are the ones that when they're altered, like caffeine alters my adenosine levels, and adenosine helps put me in a state of relaxation and rest, so that can be causing pain. It helps suppress pain. So the caffeine blocks my adenosine receptor sites, my ability to absorb adenosine, and adenosine calms me down. 90% of adults consume caffeine daily. Now that's chocolate, that's coffee, that's soda. Sometimes you take caffeine pills. Not a good thing, because we're messing with the brain, and then we require more and more and more. Caffeine is the most widely used drug in the world, by far, actually. It's a drug because it alters brain chemistry. So if you're doing caffeine or theophylline, which is a chemical found in tea, it alleviates drowsiness, it enhances alertness, it blocks the adenosine receptor sites, but adenosine also raises levels of dopamine in the brain's pleasure center. So now we got a problem. The blocking of adenosine raises well, let me make sure I'm clear on that. The blocking of adenosine raises the level of dopamine, the pleasure centers in your brain. So when you block adenosine, you get high. Another reason people will drink coffee. I never understood coffee. It's nasty, it's acidic, it's bitter, and we got to put cream in it, we got to put sugar in it just to make it palatable. I mean, some people drink it black, I guess, but never got it. It's also diuretic, which makes you pee, which can dehydrate you. And one of the big things I want you to learn is that you're doing something that's going to dehydrate the body, you need to rehydrate the body. And you can do that very simply by drinking water. And here's the kicker, that many times when you're tired, the reason you're tired is you're dehydrated. So you drink coffee, which gives you a boost, but it dehydrates you more, which makes you more tired, which means you want to drink more coffee. So folks, if you're going to do coffee or tea or sodas or chocolates, please drink a ton of water with it. And you're going to find you'll drink a lot less. Again, remember the caffeine is dehydrating you, and that's not a good thing. Adenosine, the activation of a bunch of neuron circuits in the brain stimulated by caffeine, can cause the pituitary gland to secrete hormones that in turn cause the adrenal glands to produce more adrenaline or epinephrine. Same thing. So when you're drinking coffee, it causes your adrenal glands to pump out adrenaline to give you more energy. So you get a double whammy going on. Man, this is good stuff. I feel great when I do it. But the problem is this. The adrenal glands, if you cut them open, and I've done this on my cadaver studies, not on live people, just cadavers, take out the adrenal gland. It's about the size of a walnut. You cut it in half, and it has 3 layers. And one layer produces adrenaline, and one layer produces prostaglandins, which control inflammation, which, of course, is a big player in pain. And then one level produces something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone causes your body to produce hormones, your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. So pregnenolone becomes DHEA. DHEA becomes your sex hormones. If you're under stress, caffeine is a stressor. It's a chemical stressor. Your body doesn't produce as much of the sex hormones. It produces more cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. Cortisol can cause you to lay down fat. Cortisol can make you weak and tired. And eventually, your adrenal glands, from getting all this stimulation from the caffeine, from the caffeine causing the pituitary gland to stimulate the adrenals, you burn out your adrenal glands. Some of the symptoms would be chronic fatigue, weight gain, low sex drive, bags under the eyes. These are all signs of adrenal fatigue. And so I have a supplement I've created. It's called Dr. Joe's Adrenal Support. I take it every single day. And I think you probably should too if you're under stress. Because the adrenal support doesn't give you a stimulant. It gives you the nutrients to get the adrenal glands to work normally, to heal the adrenal glands. And that's what we want to do, is instead of taking an outside source of a chemical or a hormone, let's get your body to produce its own. So I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. I have them sitting here in the studio in front of me. If you're not doing anything else, I'm going to beg you, please give your body some supplements so that it can get some nutrients to work better. And Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, it's my complete multivitamin. It alkalizes the system. It takes away some of the toxins from the acids that we eat every day. It gives you prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes. Has a bunch of raw fruits and vegetables in there. Safe for diabetics, by the way, which is great. Safe for people on a low-sugar diet. Safe for people on the paleo diet. So at least take the Super Greens and the Essential Source, and those are powders, and I take a scoop of each, and very inexpensive, about $1 a day for each scoop. Then on top of that, I take Dr. Joe's Adrenal Support every day to give me my adrenals functioning normally. And just yesterday, somebody once again guessed that I was 14 years younger than I am. And I said, thank you. I appreciate that. Because when the adrenals are working, your body produces a lot of hormones, which then keeps your skin young, your skin tone. It's a good thing, isn't it? So if we're going to start messing with the adenosine, with the caffeine, I'm going to recommend you take some supplement. Well, everyone should take the supplements anyway. And they're safe for kids, too. If you take the Super Greens, the Essential Source, take a little bit of it, mix it with some coconut milk or frozen banana, and I recommend giving that to children every day as well. And the kids who take it start to love it, and the parents are amazed how well the children do in school. They're calmer. It's pretty good stuff there. I have a bunch of other supplements, too. We're going to talk about other supplements in a second. But at minimum, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and the adrenal support if you have adrenals or stress. You can get those on my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can get them on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can go there and get it. We want to make it as easy and quick for you as possible because we understand we're in a very stressful world. And if we can keep it easy for you, that's going to make life a whole lot better. Folks, got to go to break. When we come back, lots more neurotransmitters to talk about. We're going to talk about dopamine. You're going to love dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that makes you happy. It's your pleasure neurotransmitter. And that's the one everybody likes. I'll tell you how to get more of it. How about that? My website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to order my supplements, if you want to order my books, if you have questions, send them to me through the website. And folks, are going to open up the lines, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. Lines are open right now. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air in case you ever need to make an appointment. Hey, folks, don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Thanks for being here. Appreciate all the questions and likes on Facebook, by the way. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. I do appreciate all those. I see my accounts just light up when I say that, so I do appreciate that. If you have questions, you can give us a call here at the studio, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E, or my website is drjoeesposito.com. You can email me questions through the website. Hey, if you send me messages through Facebook, I don't always get to them right away. If you send them through the website, I get to them right away. So you can do it, but it's not the best thing. So we're talking about neurotransmitters today, but I'm going to start taking calls. Again, 844-44-DR-JOE. Dave, how can we make your day better?
Oh, hi. I'm hurting. That's how you can.
Well, you're calling the right guy.
I slipped on some water and had a hard fall on my back.
Ow.
And that's been about 4 weeks ago this coming Wednesday. But what's bothered me, I fell on my back, but my knees ache like I had a plane flight to Tampa in an hour and a half, and I could hardly stay in my seat.
Oh, yeah.
My wrist, I didn't land on my arms, but my wrist ache. I've got arthritis, but my body's inflamed.
Sure.
Do you think that maybe chiropractic would be of help to me?
Oh,
I don't have any. I've been X-rayed. I don't have any broken bones in my neck or my back or anything. My back's still sore, but I'd love to know if you might be able to help me with chiropractic.
Yeah, that sounds like a classic chiropractic case. You fell, you knocked the bones out of place. That caused an inflammatory reaction, which pushed more bones out of place, and that's why it hurts all over.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. That's how I feel.
Yeah, you're like the textbook stuff that we talk about in school. So, yeah, I would certainly do that. Because if it's been X-rayed, you know it's not a fracture. It's got to be a minor dislocation, which is pinching the nerves. And if you don't fix it, chances are, Dave, it's just going to get worse. And then it's harder to fix, and then the bones rub up against each other. You develop osteoarthritis, which is even harder to work on. So, the sooner you get in, the better it's going to be. And we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, if that helps you out.
All right, I'll give you a call. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it so much. Thanks so much. Yeah, folks, and our office is 844-44 Dr. Joe as well. You can always call the office if you're not on the air, of course. But if you have a question now, 844-44 Dr. Joe might get you on the air. Who knows? All right, back to these chemicals and what can we do to get natural chemical high? This is the feel-good neurotransmitter, dopamine. I always joke about that when you first meet somebody and you're crazy gaga over them. You're in the dopamine stage. And after about 6 months to a year, the dopamine levels start to drop. And if you have a good relationship with that person, you then go into what's called the oxytocin phase. Oxytocin is another neurotransmitter, and that's the bonding neurotransmitter. That's the chemical that makes you want to be with that person aside from, all the fireworks that you see and all the romantic trisses that may be going on early on. That's okay to have that fade. It doesn't have to go away, but it can just fade out a little bit because you're switching from the dopamine phase to the oxytocin phase. Oxytocin is released in women when they breastfeed. It bonds the mother to the child. It's released when there's romance involved. I try to keep it clean for the kids here. But when romance is involved, oxytocin is one of the neurotransmitters that's released to bond you to that person. So oxytocin is a neat one, but dopamine is the one that gives you that real happy high. Boredom can lead to suboptimal levels of dopamine. How many people are bored out there? Raise your hands. A lot of you. Yeah. And so being bored can lower your dopamine levels, which means you don't experience as much pleasure. You got to use it or lose it type thing. And I'm not just talking about romantic pleasure. We're talking about pleasure in life overall. It creates the euphoria associated with romance, eating certain foods, even shopping. Shopping can release dopamine too. Dopamine comes from amino acid tyrosine. So if you have trouble digesting your food, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, you're probably not digesting your proteins properly. And proteins break down into amino acids. So if you have acid reflux or heartburn or burping or gas or chronic cough, sinus problems, it could be that your stomach is spasmed and pushing up into your diaphragm. And if the stomach is spasmed pushing up into the diaphragm, you're not able to digest your food properly. And so all those other symptoms we just talked about are telling me you probably have something physical. Now, you can take pills to shut down or neutralize your acids in your stomach, but that doesn't fix the problem. It treats the symptom. And a lot of the pills you take for acid reflux prevent you from absorbing calcium, magnesium, iron, and B12. And a lot of patients come to me in chronic pain, especially the elderly, and they're in chronic pain and they have a magnesium deficiency because they're taking these medicines to help with the acid reflux. You're not absorbing your magnesium. Magnesium relaxes your muscles. Relaxes your bowels, too. So a lot of people have constipation if they don't have enough magnesium. So it's important that your digestive system is working. And if it's not, the number one reason we see patients in our offices is for pain. Neck pain, back pain, car accidents. Folks, if you've ever been in a car accident, if the car was damaged, I promise you were damaged. 33 years of practice, I've never seen it not happen. So if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. You need to come see us or somebody right away and get it fixed. But if people are in pain, we see them for that. But the number two reason we see patients is for digestive problems, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. And we physically adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm so the stomach can relax. And many times that resolves the issue. And that makes me very, very happy. If you have that problem, you know you want it fixed. So it's not just spines that we work on, it's also organs as well. So if you have high dopamine, you're excited, you're energetic, you got pleasure going on, it levels are enhanced by things like amphetamine and cocaine. This is why we do these drugs. Well, we shouldn't do these drugs. I mean, why some people do the drugs? Because it releases that dopamine, stimulates the dopamine receptor sites. Baby, you getting high. You know what else stimulates your dopamine receptor sites? Sugar. Low dopamine, overeating. Triggers the overeating response. It causes you to crave sweets. Why? Because sugar stimulates the dopamine receptor sites. Difficulty concentrating, difficulty initiating or completing tasks, and can cause addictive behaviors like alcohol, tobacco, and gambling, because you got to kick in those dopamine receptor sites. And we know that addicts, people that are addicted to things, have fewer dopamine receptor sites. So you're trying to pump more dopamine out to get you high. What if we got your digestive system working, got you on a good plant-based diet, because those proteins are easy to digest, get you on some supplements like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, get the adrenals working again. We even have something called Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide Support, which opens up your blood vessels, increases circulation. So if we can get the diet chemically balanced, we get the spine and the joints physically balanced, we get the digestive system working properly, now you have a plan. Up to this point, most people don't have a plan. And my goal is to get you a plan. Lower dopamine receptors in obese people than in control subjects. So if you're overweight, you may not have the amount of dopamine receptor sites. What do I do? Got to fix it. So when we come back, lots more about dopamine. I got pages and pages of dopamine here. And we're going to talk about why women have a harder time resisting carbohydrates than men. There's actually a neurological reason for it. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, if you want to order supplements or books or send me questions, make an appointment, watch videos and audios, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, listen, I just found out if you've been trying to call us at 844-44-Dr. Joe, I just found out because a friend of mine just texted me and said the number isn't working. So if you have a question, give us a call here at the studio, 404-872-0750. 404-872-0750 is the number here at the studio. 844-44-Dr. Joe should be ringing to my offices when I'm not on the air, but for some reason today it's just acting weird, and I don't know why. One call did come in, though, so I don't know what that is. Anyway, 404-872-0750. We're talking about neurotransmitters today and how the brain works, and we're talking about dopamine. Now, dopamine is the one we all like because that's the one that gives us pleasure. Now, an instinctual response to low levels of dopamine is elevate your levels of eating things called comfort foods. Chocolates, sweets, eating carbs boosts dopamine. So we want to eat sweets, give us that big quick rush, and we'll get those dopamine levels up. The problem is then you crash. And when you crash, you want what? More sweets, more quick fix. And so that's where the problem comes in. And if you stimulate your dopamine receptor sites too much, you don't know what normal is anymore. And so what happens then is you want more, and that can become an addiction. Addictions are rooted in the brain, in the neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that make your brain work, and different ones do different things. Now, sugars and refined carbs light up those dopamine pathways, and we know this because we can take a functional MRI, real-time MRI, put you in an MRI center, and we can give you heroin, cocaine, and a certain part of your brain lights up, those pleasure centers, those dopamine receptor sites, like the nucleus accumbens, if you want to get fancy with brain words. And the nucleus accumbens lights up, and ooh, baby, you feeling good. You got like a Barry White song playing in your head, and you just feeling all good. And then you start to come down. So what do you want? You want more. But if we give you sugar, the same part of the brain lights up, only more. So based on that, you can extrapolate a statement saying that it's more addicting. The problem is that sugar is legal and it's available. And so that's why so many people are so hooked on sugar. How many of you right now can honestly say you're hooked on sugar? How many of you can go a whole week with no breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas? Raise your hands. Bet you can't. A lot of you can't. It's hard. It took me a long time to get over my sugar addiction. But now it's okay. And now I can have a cookie and go, all right, I'm good. I used to be that I couldn't have a cookie. I could have a box of cookies, but I couldn't have a cookie. And if that's like you, then you're messing with those dopamine receptor sites. And your brain lights up. Now, historically, the taste for sweets was a survival instinct. Why? Because when our ancestors foraged for foods in the fields and the woodlands, they actively sought out sweet taste because that's, fruit specifically, because that's when the fruit was the most ripe and had the most flavor. And so that's what's happening. It was instinctually to say, okay, I want to get the most ripe fruit with the most flavor, but that's because that's when it had the most nutrition. So sugar, not a bad thing. If you're going to eat fruit, if you're going to drink fruit juice, not a good idea. And the reason is, if you take plain old table sugar, which is processed sugar, it's half fructose and half glucose. So the fructose has to be converted into glucose for your body to utilize it. The body can't use fructose. It has to be converted into glucose. And if you have more than 20 grams of fructose a day, the problem is your body starts producing something called uric acid as a waste product. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. How many of you have pain right now? Raise your hands. Think about it. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness. That's usually a sign of a pinched nerve. And as a chiropractor, my team of doctors and I, we fix that all day, every day. But if you're also eating things like fructose and high fructose corn syrup in large amounts, you're going to create uric acid, which gets in your joints, and it hurts. So that's why with all our patients that come in our offices, I try to do a nutritional workup on them. And I'll say, listen, if you're going to work with us, I want to save you money. I want you to spend less money on your treatment and more money on yourself. And you do that by working with us. Uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, your brain, your reproductive organs, your arms, your legs. And if blood vessels are tight and constricted, it can raise the pressure, leading to things like high blood pressure. So how can we relax those blood vessels to get better circulation to all our happy parts and hopefully reduce the pressure? We do that by making sure we're producing enough nitric oxide. And you do that by not putting in a lot of fructose in your body, like sugar, high fructose corn syrup, agave nectar. By the way, has much more fructose than high fructose corn syrup. It's not a food, not a health food at all. So I have something called Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide Support, and it's for cardiovascular health. It opens up the blood vessels to increase circulation. And in the process, it might help lower your blood pressure. Not saying it will, but if that's the cause, it can help. So we want to get the body working the best we can and get you off the sugar as quick as we can. The problem is, especially for women, women generally have more taste buds than men and are more acute to identifying odors even. So women can smell and taste better than us boys. And boys, that ever right, Ahmad, huh? Women smell and they have much better taste than we do. So.
Regular bloodhounds.
That's right. Unless they date us, then they have no taste, right? No, I shouldn't say that. Ahmad is a very charming man, very handsome. And single ladies, just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, as we say in New Jersey.
Thanks for the plug.
There you go. Hey, it's my job, man. Got to keep you happy, so you make my show sound good. So our show sound good. Sorry about that. Women are more gustatorily stimulated, which means food stimulates them more than men, and therefore get greater pleasure from foods than men do. And so if you're going to get pleasure from food, why not eat the ones that give you the most pleasure, which would be the sugars? Females have larger brain pleasure centers than men do. So there's another problem we have, men. We don't experience pleasure as well as women do. Female brain is more stimulated by food, and females cannot suppress hunger as well as men. Interesting stuff there. So the men and women brain are different. Now, low dopamine, we're talking about dopamine, can trigger apathy and dull attitude toward life. You ever meet those people just plotting through life? Well, could be a dopamine issue. Now, if you find what makes you happy and you feel good, you don't really need to do anything to compensate. If you get excited about work or life or your family or your friends or your loved ones or your children or your church or whatever it is, you don't have to compensate with other things. Somebody said to me, they said, gosh, you work full time and you do these radio shows and you write books and you have your own line of supplements, and isn't that exhausting? And I said, this isn't work. This is fun. 33 years of practice. I get more excited today when I wake up to see patients than I did 33 years ago. Because I see the patients get well, and my doctors see the patients get well, and I get emails, and I get texts, and I get phone calls, and people, oh my gosh, my baby's doing better. I got one the other day. Baby couldn't gain weight. Really serious stuff. We had to work on his spine. We also had to work on his stomach. We pulled his stomach down away from the diaphragm. His rash cleared up. He had a full body rash. He started gaining weight like crazy normally, and the mother was just thrilled. So it's exciting when you get the body functioning normally, and why wouldn't I get excited about that? So that helps me with my sugar. I mean, I like sugar too. Folks, got to go to a break. If you have a healthcare question, 844-44-DOCTOR. Oh, no, 844-44-Dr. Joe is not working. 404-872-0750. 404-872-0750 is the number here at the studio. The Dr. Joe number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to get Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, other supplements, books, they're available on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Also available on Amazon. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I do appreciate that. We're talking today about neurotransmitters. Now, that may not sound like a big, fun word to you, but it really is, because when you understand how the body works and why the body works, you then can actually alter how your brain functions, for good or bad. So you can actually start playing with yourself. You become your own little experimental chemistry set there, and you get the brain working better. So talking about dopamine, then I'm going to start taking some calls. If you have a question, 404-872-0750 or 1-800-WSB-TALK as well. So caffeine. Caffeine spares dopamine. What that means is it increases your dopamine levels. Chocolate contains compounds that are precursors to both serotonin and dopamine. So chocolate can increase your dopamine levels. Chocolate contains about 20 milligrams of caffeine per ounce, which also raises your dopamine levels. And also chocolate has something in it called phenylethylamines. Now, phenylethylamines are neurotransmitters in your brain that make you feel like you're in love. So if I'm going to try to woo my lady, whoever that lady is, I'm going to try to give her some chocolate. And chocolate will then stimulate the dopamine receptor sites. The sugar will stimulate the dopamine receptor sites, and it'll increase the phenylethylamines. Phenylethylamines make me look good, and I like that. It's like booze, only it's legal, I guess. So chocolate is something that'll help your dopamine. Omega-3 essential fatty acids, DHA and EPA, are the two main types. Low levels of DHA inhibit the neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin. So if you want the brain to function normally, you have to get your proper amounts of omega-3 fatty acids. You can get them from fish oil, which I'm not a big fan of. Krill oil, the omega-3s are in what's called the phospholipid form, so it's easier to absorb. So krill oil is a better choice, I feel, than fish oil. Or you can do algae oil. That's the kind I use. Algae comes from plants. And this is the kicker. Fish don't produce omega-3 fatty acid. Fish get it from eating smaller fish who eat algae. Algae is the source of the omega-3s. So algae is more expensive than krill. But if you're going to do an oil, folks, no matter what it is, olive oil or nuts or seeds or anything, try to get it fresh. Because old oils go rancid, and that can cause some real serious problems. If you have a sluggish thyroid gland, it can numb the body's receptors to adrenaline and dopamine, and so you don't have as much pleasure ability. Low or suboptimal levels of vitamin B12 can reduce your body's production of dopamine. Seasonal affective disorder. If you're inside a lot, you're not getting enough sunlight, that can be a problem as well. So low levels of the hormone progesterone can lower dopamine levels. By age 35, 50% of women in the U.S. are low in progesterone. So once again, if you want women's hormone issues, listen to my show last week on women's health issues. And we archive all our shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. So that's our podcast that we have there. We have hundreds of hours of, probably over 1,000 podcast hours, video podcast, audio podcasts. And do me a favor, folks, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, because we want to get you all the information that we can, and there's a lot out there. And so I want to get you that. When I do live lectures, I got one coming up real soon. Love to have you come out to the live lectures. So check the website. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, which you can do on the website, or follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, subscribing to the newsletter is the easiest one. In fact, just do that. Just subscribe to my newsletter. It's no charge. We never give out your email address to anyone. And then we're going to give you inside scoops as to when we're doing live lectures, when we're doing personal appearances, when there's a discount on supplements like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, if there's a sale going on. We want to keep you in tune, and you do that by just signing up for my newsletter. That's at drjoeesposito.com. Front page. Can't miss it. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 404-872-0750. James, how can we make your day better?
Hey, how you doing, Doc?
I couldn't be happier, James.
Good. I love your show, man. You're very informative. Listen to you all the time.
Thank you.
Listen, I was calling about your Dr. Joe's nitric oxide.
Yes, sir.
Does that help with your blood pressure, and does that circulate the blood going through your body?
Absolutely. That's what it does. We make it from citrulline. Citrulline is a component found in things like watermelon, and it converts to nitric oxide, and nitric oxide relaxes the blood vessels and opens them up to increase circulation. So with some people, and a lot of people, you'll see the blood pressure start to drop. So I have to warn you of this, James, and anyone else listening. If you're on blood pressure medication and you start taking something like citrulline or nitric oxide, Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support, monitor your blood pressure because I don't want to get it too low. You need a certain amount of blood pressure. Also helps in the romantic department for men and women because it increases circulation to your happy parts. And I've got a lot of feedback on that as well. Folks saying, wow, this is really great without the negative side effects that some drugs can have. So,
wow, that was really my point. That was my question right there on the male part there.
There you go. And also with men issues and women, you always want to check the nerves in the low back because the nerves in the low back control your back, hips, legs, knees, and ankles, but they also control your colon, sex organs, and bladder. So a lot of people who aren't responding the way they want to, men and women, I always check the nerves in the low back, and then we check the diet, get them off the fructose and a high fructose corn syrup, and then we might want to consider the nitric oxide support as well.
Okay. And another thing, do you have a tea or something like that? I heard a caller call in about some tea, some kind of tea that helps reduce weight. What tea was that called?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember. I don't have one myself personally, no. It's not one of my line of supplements, no, so I don't remember what that might have been.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but the Super Greens and the Essential Source, a lot of people report it helps them lose weight because it gives you the nutrients that you need so your body, you're not craving food. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition.
Right.
So everyone, I think, should be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and then other supplements based on what your specific needs are. But the Super Greens and Essential Source are the baseline supplements that I think everybody should be taking.
Okay. Well,
Right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and God bless, and I love your show.
Thanks, James. I appreciate your call. Thanks. Folks, if you have a question, like James did, 404-872-0750. That's the number we're using today because 844-44-Dr. Joe doesn't seem to be working today, and I don't know why, but we'll figure it out. But that number does ring through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Hey, listen, I'm going to have to go to a break real soon. When we come back, we're going to talk about what women think about more, romance or sugar. It's going to be interesting. And then what makes the male brain excited? We talk about sugar in women. Ahmad wants to know what makes the male brain excited. What releases our dopamine levels? And we've got tons of stuff. I doubt I'll even get to it by the end of the show. Folks, if you have a question, 404-872-0750. My website, if you want to order supplements, books, if you have questions, you want to send them to me through the website, sign up for my newsletter. Please do that. We'll never give out your email address. drjoeesposito.com, which is Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Also, my supplements and books and products are also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Lots of folks do that. Makes life easier. And you can even sign up for automatic reorder. Make your life easy. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad you could spend a little time with me today. We're talking today about how the brain works, neurotransmitters, the chemicals that make your body work. And at the break, Ahmad wanted to know what I teased. That's a term in business we use, teasing you, making you want to hang on. What women think about romance or sugar. Study commissioned by Weight Watchers showed that 58% of women surveyed think about sex at least 10 times a day, but 70% admitted having far more regular fantasies about food. Gentlemen, this does not bode well for us. Unless we're dressed like a donut, we really don't stand a chance out there. It's us against the sugar, boys. So what do you think nature did this? Now, nature seems to have intended women to have an increased drive for food in order to have necessary fat stores to prepare themselves for giving birth and breastfeeding and nourishing their offspring. So then the question came about that I proposed to Ahmad and all of you. What do men have that stimulate their survival instincts? And we like to look at women. Gee, what a surprise. Eye candy. Eye candy is the thing that releases the dopamine in men's brains, and so that's where men get their dopamine releases from. So we need occasional stresses can actually be a good thing because it can stimulate the dopamine, maybe getting a new job, maybe watching your favorite sporting event, maybe falling in love. These events excite the brain's pleasure centers, and it bathes you in that feel-good neurotransmitter dopamine. Dopamine gets exhausted when you're chronically stressed. So what happens when you're stressed? you don't have a lot of pleasure. Life just ain't fun anymore. You don't feel like doing a lot of things. I'm just going to stay home tonight. I'm not going to go out with my friends. I'm not going to go on that date. I'm not going to do whatever that would normally give you pleasure because the dopamine levels are being depressed. And so you might want to eat those sugary foods to try to get those dopamine levels up. Now, something cool, pharmacologically, there's an herb called St. John's wort, and it's been shown to help raise the levels of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. But once again, we're not getting to the cause of the problem. Even if we take St. John's wort, hey, I'm an all-natural guy, right? But we're not getting to the cause. So we have to always look at several things. Number one, do you have a lot of pain? Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. Those are things that can really mess with the neurotransmitters in the brain, even short term. So chronic pain can make you very depressed and affect the neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the serotonin, norepinephrine, the adrenal glands. So as chiropractors, we work very diligently to get our patients out of pain as quickly as possible. If you listened earlier, we said that 90% of the nerves don't feel pain. So you can have pinched nerves and not know it. And those nerves control the organs. That's why some people come to our offices and they just want to get out of pain. And I say, okay, if that's all you want, let us know. But our goal is not get you out of pain. Our goal is get you well. Get the whole body working the best it can so that the body stabilizes. So if you're looking at things like St. John's wort, yeah, might work. However, if you have acid reflux or heartburn or burping, you're not breaking down your proteins into amino acids. The amino acid tyrosine becomes dopamine. So you're not getting the proper amount of amino acids. Plant-based proteins are easier to digest than animal-based proteins. So, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds are a whole lot easier to digest than steak and cheese. So if you're having digestive problems, you might want to, or anyone should consider maybe going to a more plant-based diet. Everyone agrees. Even the UN is now saying to save the world, go to a plant-based diet because it puts a lot less pollution in the air by eating plants as it does eating animals. So, all right, let's go to calls. I got folks holding. If you got a question, 404-872-0750. Jim, how can we make your day better?
Jim?
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call.
You are welcome.
I don't know that you have any, I'd like to hear what you think about this anyway. I have a skin condition called, and I'm going to try to pronounce it, puroG
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're saying, yes. Okay.
Okay, I can spell it for you if it'll help.
No, okay, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, and I've had it for about 4 years or so. I'm 75 years old, and all of a sudden, this thing happens.
Right.
And I don't know that I've changed anything with my diet or anything in my habits or anything at all.
Right.
But I've been to 4 different dermatologists, and they all say the same thing. They all give the same, do the send it in and have it checked and come back with the same answer. But it appears that no one knows what caused it and no one has a cure for it. And I'm just wondering if you ever had any experience with this or know anything about it.
Okay. Whenever I see a skin condition, the first thing I think about is the liver. And a lot of research out there now on skin conditions are showing that there's 2 foods that are the 2 major ones you might want to consider cutting out. And those would be wheat and dairy. So I'll give you this.
Again, please.
Wheat, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, wheat, and dairy. So, butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream. So here's my challenge to you, Jim. I want you to cut out all wheat, not even a little, not a breadcrumb, nothing. No wheat and no dairy, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Let's do it. If it starts to heal up, I was right. If it doesn't start to heal up, I was wrong. Either way, you're going to be either the same or better. You're not going to get worse by giving up wheat and dairy. Okay?
Right.
Let any type of skin condition, I'll ask anybody that. Give up the wheat and the dairy, and then I want you to get some extra virgin coconut oil and rub it on the skin several times a day. It absorbs real quickly, so it's not like other oils that stays there for a while. And that'll help stimulate the immune system. It has lauric acid in it that can help the immune system. And let's see if that works.
Okay.
Okay. And do you have any digestive problems? Acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating?
Nothing.
Okay, good. So we don't have to worry about that then. Let's give that a shot. And if it does work, call me back in 2 weeks and tell me how wonderful that was.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
You.
Appreciate the call. Folks, if you have a question, 404-872-0750. My number that I usually use, 84444 Dr. Joe, isn't working. My Marketing Director Mary just tried calling it, and for some reason, if you called, you're going to hear music and it goes to voicemail. We don't know where that voicemail goes to. So if you left a message, I am not going to answer you unless I can find out where it is. Best thing to do if you have a question, go to my website and send it to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we talked about nitric oxide today, adrenal support. We've got a bunch of others, probiotics, B-complex, which is very important for the production of neurotransmitters. You can get all of those, drjoeesposito.com or Amazon. We have an Amazon account too. And it's important that you look at this when we talk about neurotransmitters, not just for you, but for your children. Because kids, and I'm going to sound so cynical when I say this, you don't have to be smart anymore. You just have to not be dumb. Or not dumb yourself down, I should say. Because if you're eating the typical American diet, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pasta, sugars, you're adversely affecting the neurotransmitters. And so your brain isn't going to work as well as it should. And I see this. If I just eat not great for a day, I see a change. I couldn't imagine somebody eating alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener every day. If you are, I can promise you this, you're not performing at 100% of your body's capability. You can't be. At least do the Super Greens, the Essential Source. If you'll do nothing else, the Super Greens, the Essential Source would be a great start. And they're relatively inexpensive, about $2, $1 each for them. Mix them with some coconut milk, ramen milk, drink them up. They're amazing. Folks, got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about sweets. We're going to find out, do women crave sweets more than men, and by how much? And we're going to talk about serotonin and why that's so important for ADD, ADHD, ability to focus, and how by fixing the serotonin levels, you're going to be amazed how cool your life gets. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Thank you so much for listening. And if you couldn't get through today, I'm really sorry. Phone isn't working at 844-44-Dr. So if you have questions, go to my website and send them to me through the website. I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you there. We also have our blogs are there, our podcasts, hundreds of hours of radio shows and videos of live lectures. So make sure you do that. Sign up for my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. We try to get as much information out to you as often as we can because we want to get well and stay well. The best thing to do is sign up for my newsletter. If you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, right on the homepage, right there, it says sign up for the newsletter. If you give us your email address, I'm going to send you a link to a lecture that I did called So What Can I Eat? And there you could listen to a whole lecture on what you should be eating. And that's no charge. That's my gift to you. It's a whole hour lecture. It's my gift to you. So it's kind of fun. So, all right, we got a few minutes left here, about 7 minutes left. Let's talk about serotonin. This is a neurotransmitter that gives you well-being and helps you feel full. See, here's the thing. When I can't stop eating, and this happens every now and then, I just want to eat. My stomach hurts, but I want to keep eating, and I can't figure out why. What I found is my stomach is spasmed and pushing up against my diaphragm. And when I grab one of my doctors and have them pull it down away from the diaphragm, instantly that crazy hunger goes away, that ravenous feeling that you get. And so I know when I can't stop eating, my stomach is acting up. And a lot of people have that all day, every day. So I need to get my stomach adjusted. Again, we're chiropractors. And we have 3 offices, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. And we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm very gently. It doesn't hurt at all. And it's really cool. I had an autistic child come in this week. And horrible digestive system. So I talked about the neurotransmitters with the parents and getting it working. And so I couldn't even touch him. He was so ticklish. He was just screaming. So I had to have him put his hand under mine, and we did it and everything. And once we got it adjusted, I had the mother, I said, okay, now try touching his stomach. And she did. He just laid there. Ticklishness went away instantly. Because the ticklishness is your body protecting itself from being attacked. Because ticklishness and pain travel along something called the lateral spinothalamic tract. And that's a nerve that goes up into the brain. And so it's kind of short-circuited or not working right. And when we stabilize it by fixing the pinched nerves, by fixing the digestive system, and by getting good food into his body, and mother fed him very well. The mother and father were there, great folks. We were able to stabilize that, and now his nerves, his neurons, and his neurotransmitters started to work better. So back to serotonin. Serotonin, carbohydrates, especially sweets and white starches, raise your serotonin level. White starches will be what? Rice, breads, potatoes. Women crave sweets. American women, 65.9 crave sweets on a regular basis. Men, 34.8. So ladies, once again, sorry, but that's how your brain works. And so it's tough to get over that. But you can get over it if you fix the digestive system and you give the body the nutrients that it needs to work. Remember, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And that's a good plant-based diet, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. At least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Please, 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 please. Because it's going to give you the minimum amount of nutrients that your body needs to work. Then you add a good diet to it. Then, because I have a stressful life, I take adrenal support. In the winter, I always take vitamin D3 with vitamin K2. That's on the website as well because you need K2 to build bone. You can take all the calcium in the world. If you don't have the right amount of K2 and D3, you're not going to build bone mass again. We have nitric oxide for circulation, an enzyme supplement. If you're eating a lot of cooked foods, I recommend enzymes because enzymes can help digest food, but they can also break down inflammation. And if you have any type of pain, digestive problems, even many neurological and mental disorders, there's an inflammatory component. And enzymes can help break down that inflammation. So we have lots of other supplements. We have Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. I take that every day in the winter to keep my immune system strong. I have Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic if you are sick to help fight off the infection. We have Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. If your bowels aren't moving 2 to 3 times a day, yes, a day, you want to stimulate the bowels. And folks, if you want to do a nutritional workup with me, I'd love to have you come in our offices, of course, and my doctors and I can do that with you. But I know this show goes coast to coast and around the world. If you want to do it over the phone or over the internet, we can do that as well. And you can do that at drjoeesposito.com or call 844-44-DR-JOE, and hopefully by then the number will be working again. All right, effects of suboptimal serotonin. What happens if you don't have enough serotonin levels? You start eating junk food because the brains get flooded with serotonin and dopamine when you eat the junk foods. It can trigger compulsive addictive behavior due to dopamine dominance. Okay, the dopamine and serotonin are out of whack. You want more pleasure, more pleasure. Serotonin helps keep you grounded and logical. And so if you don't have enough serotonin, dopamine takes over. Daily life stresses can lower your serotonin levels. We talked about the stomach not breaking down proteins into amino acids. Pretty important stuff. So stress can lower the serotonin levels. Researchers now believe the average American's busy lifestyle, multitasking, stressful life is directly responsible for the 2 common found suboptimal levels of serotonin in the brain, and that comes from the Journal of Medical Investigation. So your lifestyle and the stress can lower your serotonin levels so you don't think logically and you do stupid things. Anybody ever do stupid things? Raise your hands, say yes, okay, we move on. Got to have enough omega-3 fatty acids because if you don't, it'll inhibit dopamine and serotonin production. I take algae oil. Algae oil is my first choice, but it's expensive. Krill oil, but make sure it's a high-quality krill, is my second choice. Fish oil, my least favorite of all of them. Suboptimal B12 levels. You need the B12, and that's why I take Dr. Joe's B-complex every day because you need the B12 levels. I'm a vegan. I don't eat animal products, and you get B12 from rotten flesh. So if you're eating animal products, you might be getting enough B12. Probably not. If you don't eat animal products, I'd strongly advise you take a supplement, and that's why I would take Dr. Joe's B-complex. Thyroid problems can lower your serotonin levels. Low levels of progesterone, we talked about that. If a woman is on birth control pills, you may have lower serotonin levels, and that can lead to mood swings, and it can lead to making rash decisions because, again, the serotonin helps keep you grounded and logical. So sometimes you meet people and they do crazy things, and you're thinking, why did they do that? Could be due to progesterone levels. That's not good either. So, all right, once again, St. John's wort might help. Okay, but serotonin and norepinephrine, the one that gives you energy, are used by the body to inhibit pain signals from traveling down the spinal cord, up the spinal cord to the brain. So when patients come to our offices, again, we're chiropractors with 3 offices, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, and people say, well, I'm in pain. We want to check their digestive system to make sure they're breaking proteins into amino acids so they can produce serotonin, which will help decrease the pain. I didn't have time to get the GABA. That was my next neurotransmitter. GABA suppresses neurotransmitters. So, folks, I'm out of time, but if you have questions, if you want to catch my podcast, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. If you want to order supplements, books, if you want to have questions, that's on the website. You can also go to Amazon. We have an Amazon account. You can order supplements there as well. If you want to make appointments to come see us, we accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We want to be your doctors. We want to help you naturally get well and stay well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Tell your friends about the show. Catch you next time.